Hello, everyone. For this Hive session, we're going to be talking about some of the things that I've seen at trade shows so far this year. So it's already been a busy year to the trade show season with Winter Fancy Food Show in Las Vegas in January, and then the big one, Natural Products Expo West in March. So what I'm going to be doing for this session is really kind of overviewing the big trends I saw at the show, and then some of the honey products that fit into those trends. So start with Winter Fancy Food Show. This one starts right at the start of the year, January in Las Vegas. It was a new location for this show. It's traditionally been held in San Francisco, but they moved it to Las Vegas. And it was a bigger show because of it, I feel. I think there was a larger audience, more exhibitors, and generally an overall bigger buzz on the show. In terms of what's trending, honey was actually one of the things that was called out by the organization in all their press releases about one of the most trending things at the Fancy Food Show, which is great for our industry. I alone saw countless types of honey. There was not only, 100% pure honey, but there was also a lot of infusions on the show floor, turning honey from a pure ingredient into more of a functional food by infusing it with various mushrooms, various adaptogens, and all those things. So it was really interesting to see not only so many great honeys on the show floor, but so many infused products get a lot of attention. What also was really trending at this show was real food and whole foods. So the Fancy Food Show is obviously a little more gourmet products, a little more upscale. So you don't see all of the plant-based alternatives, all of the more, simple snacking products. These are generally products with a higher price point, more gourmet. And because of that, we saw so much, real food, whole foods being sold. The amount of cheese alone was astonishing, as well as honey, as well as meats and other things like that. With this real whole food came premium price points, and that's okay because, I know inflation is still going up. Grocery prices are up, but whenever we talk about fancy foods or gourmet foods, those premium price points are more acceptable to consumers as long as it delivers in flavor, clean label, and again, that real food and that whole food. There were countless non-alcoholic beverages. Yes, it was dry January, but every statistics I've read says this is going to continue to become a dominating trend. Non-alcoholic beverages, we saw them not only with beers on the trade show floor, but also cocktail mixers and then other vinegar elixir type products. We also saw a little bit of elevated convenience, a lot of interesting new packaging ideas for various products, and taking this notion of consumers still want convenience, but they also want fancy food. So how do we merge those two things together? And that comes with elevated convenience. Some of my favorite products I said there was a lot of cheese and there was a lot of honey and cheese. This really hasn't been a market that I've focused a ton of attention on because I didn't think it was that big, but we're starting to see significantly more cheese manufacturers looking to differentiate their products by adding honey to it. This is one from Leclerc Family Creamery. This actually won an award at the USA Cheese Guild's Cheese Awards for best product with a inclusion or sweetener added to it. So I tasted this product and it is absolutely delicious. There was another big popular product at the show floor that was also a cheese with honey. This was Cypress Grove's Meyer lemon and honey cheese. So again, it's goat cheese. It has a honey blended throughout it to kind of play off the sharp tart taste of goat cheese with something more sweet and subtle of honey. Sauces were also big at the fancy food shows. Sauces in general are growing just because consumers need an easy way to turn their food they make at home into something special, and a lot of that is sauces. We saw a lot more barbecue sauces than I've ever seen at this show, some with extremely high price points, like this Rufus Teague product that you can tell on it, it's not only got honey in it, but it's got just really great branding. Jack Daniel's also released under its licensed branded products a honey barbecue sauce that has honey in it. So we saw a lot of sauces with honey. We also saw a lot of innovative new products. This was one of the most interesting ones. These were positioned as tea bags with the sweetener already in them. So they had a combination of ones with honey in them, like this creamy honey oolong, as well as ones with sugar in them. So kind of an innovative new product where you don't need to add your tea bag and your sweetener. It's already built right into it. On the beverage side, we saw a lot of products with extremely high price points, really going after that kind of functional beverage, people who are looking for more supplements in their beverages. This was an interesting product, Venice Beach Beverage. They kept on touting their proprietary sweetener blend. I have no clue why they need this many sweeteners. The person I talked to couldn't answer it, but it's an interesting product because, you know, their sweetener blend consists of erythritol, honey, sugar, and stevia extract. So we're talking 2 caloric sweeteners, 1 sugar alcohol for bulk, and another high intensity sweetener. So they really run the gamut of sweetness in the product. I did taste it and it was a little sweet. I think they could cut out 3 of those and just keep the honey in and be fine. But it's sort of what we're seeing out on the marketplace with not only honey usage, but combining it with other sweeteners to either keep the calorie count down low or to provide generally a more intense sweetness. On to Natural Products Expo West. This is the largest natural food show here in the United States, probably the world. It is massive. It is just as crowded as ever, and it is just as chaotic as ever. It's the only trade show where you will take you 10 minutes to get down an aisle just because traffic is so thick that you can't even move. A couple things that were really interesting and trending about this show. It's no longer a granola show. That's what it generally used to be. It used to be cereals, granolas, and snacks because that was mainly the natural food industry. We saw so many center of the plate entrees, frozen foods, savory items, things like that, that are kind of getting into this show, that it really stood out how much the show has evolved in the natural food space to include kind of, you know, mixed nuts and granola and things like that to really every category. We also saw a lot of food manufacturers. You know, there's always been around functional foods where food manufacturers are trying to, you know, provide a function to their product, whether it helps you sleep better or puts you in a better mood or something like that. We saw it ramped up even further to where, you know, manufacturers are looking at common supplements and what's in those, and then figuring out how to get those into food products. So really looking at food as more of a medicine than an actual nourishment. All natural sweeteners were very on trend. I was pleased to say there were a lot of us in the honey industry who were exhibiting, but there also were a lot of manufacturers who make stevia, monk fruit, things like that, who were exhibiting as well. So just kind of goes to show you how much competition there is out there in this sweetener space. The picture I've got I thought was interesting, was one stevia company's way to distinguish their product. And this was a huge hanging banner that said, "Not all stevia is created equal." So I thought that was kind of a interesting way that they're not necessarily targeting honey or other natural sweeteners. They're targeting those within their own industry. Functional beverages, it always astounds me going to this show to see how many beverages there are and wondering who's going to buy all these beverages. Hundreds of bottled waters, everything under the sun. We also saw, which was surprising, a stat I heard from the show, that there were 900 new exhibitors. And this is without the show growing in total amount of exhibitors. So could be spun in a good way about how the industry is moving quick, but it can also be spun as, you know, there's a lot of new companies coming up with online sales, with direct to consumers. It's never been easier to launch a food or beverage company. But because of that, it's hard for some of these to stick around. So we're seeing a lot of churn. So I was really surprised at that 900 new exhibitor number. So some of our products, like I said, this was a show that's no longer just granola. I thought this was a really interesting product. Among a sea of plant-based meat alternatives, there were a lot of companies that were just selling organic or free range or pasture raised meat products. This one was Farmer Focus, and they've got their chicken wings and they pre-season them. And this one is with a honey jalapeno. So, honey's a great thing for the meat industry, and great to see it being used in some of these natural foods. We also saw, like I said, supplements. And a lot of that came through in protein and probiotics. These are two interesting products. This first one is Simply Fuel, and they're protein balls. And as you can see right on the label, they're infused with probiotics, and they promote 8 grams of protein per serving. So honey works great in a product like this. It's a ball, obviously keeping things together, as well as providing kind of that flavor masker for those probiotics or protein ingredients that are in there. Another interesting one that I hadn't seen before was this Cascadian Farm, which they use a significant amount of honey in a lot of their cereal products. They released a protein granola. So 10 grams of protein per serving. These are in individual snack packs, which I thought was interesting for the granola industry. And, it's got honey in it. So really honey's used to kind of make that protein taste palatable, not overly powdery or kind of bitter, which some of these protein ingredients can have, and to help keep those clusters of granola together. Some kind of traditional categories that we saw a lot of honey products in was in the bread side, where Base Culture, this is a company that was recently acquired by a much larger bakery that has always used a lot of honey in their products. They're really targeting the keto and paleo market. They came out with all new packaging. This is their Simply Honey Nut Bread. It's got a significant amount of honey in it, and it's grain-free, so it's got a lot of unique ingredients in there, and honey really helps keep everything together, especially that flavor. We also saw a lot of traditional, potato chips, but then with a twist on them. These are made with avocado oil instead of other common cooking oils or frying oils that potato chips manufacturers. And again, using honey as kind of that anchor flavor, this time combining it with Dijon and a spicy honey Dijon chip. On the beverage side, there was a lot of work here. We saw a lot of kombuchas with honey. This is Honey June. So June is just a kombucha, but instead of the cane sugar, you use honey as your fermentable. They're becoming more and more popular. They're a little bit harder to make, but we are starting to see a lot more. This was a delicious product, and this was something brand new that I hadn't seen, was a product called Hive 2.0, and they're a new company, and they make both hard honey, which is alcoholic, an alcoholic beverage, kind of a mead cider hybrid, as well as a non-alcoholic honey beverage. So this was really, really delicious. Just had 3 ingredients in it. They're balancing the honey with the fruit, with the water. So kind of really interesting take on, bringing honey to a common beverage, like a sparkling water category. So really excited to see that. On the sauce side, so much honey on the sauce side, which we love to see. Primal Kitchen is a big one. This is their teriyaki. And again, scream on the front, no artificial sweeteners, and they're using honey instead. So this is a really big opportunity for the honey industry in the natural food space, is really capitalizing on these products where consumers are reading the ingredient label. And this is a great honey mustard sauce. I just love the name of it, Honey Gold. So, it's called Number 55 because it talks about how, it takes, bees visiting all these different flowers, 55,000 different flowers to get enough honey for their sauce. And so they've got a whole story that's all tied into honeybees with it. So those were some of the trends and products I saw at Winter Fancy Food Show and Natural Products Expo West. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out.